Hello, I'm Mario Anderson, and welcome to In Focus Kentucky, where we take a look at issues that matter to you right here in the Bluegrass State, and we'll talk to the lawmakers, community organizers, and people like you who help shape those policies. Today, we're focusing on the new child marriage law in Kentucky, which will prohibit anyone under the age of 17 from getting married unless approved by a district judge. Before the new child marriage law was passed, 16 and 17-year-olds in Kentucky could marry without their parents' permission, and a girl of any age under 16 could marry as long as she was pregnant and marrying the expectant father, and likewise for the expectant father. Now, to discuss the new law that again will prohibit anyone under 17 from getting married is State Senator Julie Rocky Adams of the 36th District, which covers the city of Louisville. Welcome back to In Focus Kentucky.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, talk to us about this law. Number one, why did it take so long to get it changed?
Well, to be honest, I had no idea that this was a real problem in the state of Kentucky. And I sat down with a woman one day over coffee. She just called me randomly and said, I need to talk to you about something. And she told me, she explained to me that Kentucky has one of the highest rates of child marriage in the nation. And she told me that since the year 2000, we've had approximately 12,000 child marriages in the state of Kentucky. 93% of those child marriages have been between a minor and an adult. Only 7% of those child marriages have been between a minor and a minor. So we had a significant, I think, child abuse problem going on. We basically had legalized child abuse. So she said, I'd like for you to bring this bill. And I said, absolutely, I'm 100% on board. I'd love to help you. So it was one of the first bills that I filed this session in the General Assembly. And you can always tell when you file a bill early because it has a very low number. This was Senate Bill 48. And it didn't move for a while. It was out there, and I did it on purpose so that people could have time to look at it, think about it, see if they wanted to participate in it. Well, about halfway through session, I'm like, it's time to start moving this bill. Let's go. And surprisingly, the amount of opposition that kind of bubbled up really kind of took me at a surprise because it had been out there for a while. So we had to work through a lot of issues with some grassroots organizations who were confused about maybe what the bill did or what its intentions were. And so long story short, we got it moving through the Senate, moving through the House, and now the governor has signed it into law.
And talk about some of that feedback that you heard, obviously controversial to some here in our state, but a lot of national attention as well on the bill that was drafted. So walk us through kind of just handling and hearing the feedback from all sides.
You know, and it was from all walks of life. People weighed in on this. I mean, it even made international news because I got emails from people who lived in Australia, people who lived in England. It made the BBC. It even made a Japanese newspaper. And they were all so supportive. I mean, I couldn't tell you the number of people and how it warmed my heart to see all these people say, it's time to stop this. It's time we do something. It's time that we bring attention to this problem. And so honestly, I was thrilled at the outpouring of support that I think the legislature got from people that said it's time to tackle this problem.
Now walk us through what the final law now is for people that aren't aware of what has been signed and that will take effect.
Sure. So you cannot get married under the age of 16 for any reason. There is a bright line. There are some exceptions if you're 17. And those exceptions have to be approved by a judge, district judge or family court judge, depending on what jurisdiction you're in. And there is a guide, like almost a checklist that the judge will have to look at in order to determine if they can sign off on this marriage. You know, we talked a lot about parental consent. That's one factor, but we also found that parental consent, on the other hand, was somewhat detrimental because there were parents who were trying to marry off. We had cases trying to marry off their children. And so now we have this checklist, and the judges are really in tune with kind of trying to see what the dynamic is and why they should approve this marriage. Otherwise, the way we had it before, it was a very perfunctory. There were no thresholds or standards in which the judge had to meet. Now we have a specific list of thresholds and standards that the judge needs to sign off on.
And you mentioned some of those, the checklist. What are some of those items that are on there that have to be followed through to move forward to this?
Well, for one instance, you know, Kentucky law used to allow, under any circumstance, and you mentioned it in your opening, if a person was pregnant, if a woman was pregnant, then she could be married. Now, pregnancy is not just a precursor to allowing for marriage. You have to look at educational attainment levels for the people who want to be married. You have to look at, is there any history of any domestic violence or any violence between the couple? Those are the types of things that we're looking at to see if there's any coercion in this marriage, or if this is going to be a healthy union where both the man and the woman will thrive.
Well, Senator Adams, we really appreciate you walking us through the bill and then now law and the work that you've been doing to get this moving forward.
Thank you.
And also appreciate you joining us once again here on In Focus Kentucky.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now, coming up, we'll speak with the Kentucky Family Foundation, who initially opposed the legislation but supported it after the bill was revised. We'll find out why next on In Focus Kentucky.